Hello and welcome to the Amy
And Kyle.
Adventures podcast. Kyle, I love the way you always say Kyle.
Yeah, it's a nice energetic hello.
It's like, and Kyle. It's like a little talk show.
Yeah.
It is kind of a talk show, I guess. It's a podcast. We don't have a proper introduction. You're basically just going to get us doing that every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how much time we have to make this bad boy. Our podcast is basically just us talking about all things mental health, marriage and cycling, with maybe a bit of running in the mix. I'm actually currently sat in my sweaty running clothes, to be honest with you. I've just come back from a 10k jog with my sister, so I'm sat on the opposite side of the room to Kyle because I stink.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant smell.
It's not. I should have had a shower first.
Keep away.
I just wanted to get this, out there while I'm fresh after a run, feeling full of endorphins.
No, I was just about to say that.
Full of life.
She's smiling, but she might be a bit grouchy later when she's a bit more tired.
Yeah, I will get grouchy later. Chester's with us too. He's just quickly got up because he's seen a fly, which he's trying to chase. Chester, it's just a fly, it's okay. Anyway, today's episode is a little bit of a different one. So normally we kind of chat about what we've been doing, have a bit of a moan minute. We will still do the moan minute because we've always got time for that. Kyle's yawning as always. But today I thought we'd do something a bit different about getting to know Kyle, because if you follow us on YouTube or me on Instagram, it's mainly all like more about me. But Kyle, I think Kyle is a big part of the YouTube now, and I wouldn't be where I am now without him. So I think we should get to know Kyle a bit more. I mean, obviously I know him because he's my husband.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks for
I'm not sure. Thanks
for being my husband?
Oh yeah, I'm that. No, but I like to be a little bit more behind the scenes, don't I?
You do. You're slowly coming into the YouTube a bit more.
No, I do actually enjoy the YouTube now.
You do. But I just thought it'd be nice to share your story a little bit, because I think you've got quite a unique story. Sorry, Chester is literally, every time we do the podcast, Chester starts licking his arse. Chester, do you mind?
That's what he thinks to it.
He doesn't like it. So me and Kyle met on Tinder. Chester's come to say hello.
I did.
About 8 years ago, didn't we, Kyle?
2016.
Wait, you know your facts.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah,
was that 8 years ago? 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Well
Quick math.
Quick maths there. And we come from quite different backgrounds, I'd say.
No.
Would you agree?
Polar opposites, really.
Yeah, so I've not come from a rich family.
Although I did view your family as rich when I first met you.
Kyle thought I was rich. I'm not, like, my family isn't rich. I'd say we're just average, like,
yeah,
middle of the line family.
I understand that now at the time.
Yeah, whereas Kyle's come from quite a different upbringing to me. And me and Kyle have spoke about this before we did the podcast, haven't we? So anything you don't want to share, he's not going to share. Chester is now sitting on my knee on the sofa, like his arse is on me. Getting comfy there, Chester. So, Kyle, I feel like I'm interviewing you. I'm your wife and I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, interview me.
I'm going to interview you.
You know
so, obviously, like, you had quite a tough upbringing.
Yeah.
And, you grew up on multiple council estates.
Yes.
But when I met you, you're the most hard-working, and I'm not just saying this because I'm your wife, but loads of people say this about you, one of the most hard-working, determined people I've met, and you've done so well to come from where you were. So can you just describe a bit about growing up and what was hard about it?
I think it's always difficult to look back on, because I look at a childhood and it's only looking back now that you realise that wasn't normal. And I think it'd be the same for, I'm not the only person that's ever grew up in that situation. There's millions of people that just the same, millions worse. But growing up in that, it just feels normal to you at the time.
Can you explain what you mean, what it was like? Because people might not
know. No money, so you're living on very basic food, probably not so much nutritional food. What
was your normal meal in the evening?
I mean, my mum did cook some things, but it did revolve around a lot of chicken nuggets, a lot of beans.
I don't think I can't say, knowing you now, you probably quite like the chicken nuggets.
Well, I've not had them in such a long time, so yeah, I probably would. But no, it's so not a lot of money. So
Chester sits, your dad's having a serious conversation. Lie down. Good boy.
A very basic style of life. But yeah, I don't really know how to fully describe it. It's a very rough estate that I grew up on, in both situations of the places that I lived. And you just get used to that life. That is just normal to you. If you don't know any different, that is just but I say that, but always in my head I was like, I it's really weird because ever as a kid, I always had this idea of what I wanted from life, and I can get onto that a little bit later. But I think I've said it to you before. So I always had that drive in me that I didn't want that to be how I lived when I was older.
Yeah, because you'd never really you've got a bit of a relationship with your dad now, haven't you? Your dad lives in Spain.
Yeah.
But you never, when you were younger, you didn't have a relationship with your dad.
No, so when I was younger, my dad had a relationship with me and my older brother for probably, I can't exactly put a year on it, but I'd probably go to say 6 or 7 maybe. And then due to some circumstances which we didn't understand at the time, he decided that it was a good idea for my mum's new husband to adopt us, and therefore, due to the court order, then the contact was not there anymore. So then you don't have a relationship with your real dad.
Yeah.
And it was only until I was like, I don't know, 16 maybe.
Yeah, and then you started talking to
yeah, by law you can only do that anyway.
And we're not going to say anything bad about your mum, like, that's, you know, we're not going to get into that, but I think...
Some things need to stay private,
yeah,
don't they?
some things need to stay private, but you grew up in a household where there was quite a lot of difficult relationships going on and difficult things that you saw.
I mean, shall I get into that? I mean...
It's up to you.
Domestic abuse is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs. I don't know if that's...
You can say,
good
it's our
sport in the
podcast, you can
podcast.
say whatever you want.
So yeah, domestic abuse, drugs, that was all the sort of norm. Violence. Grew up around a lot of violence, a lot of unrest. Partly why I always say to Amy, when we have arguments, I don't like to argue. So I always have this thing of saying, no, that wasn't an argument, that was just a bicker.
Yeah.
And I think we've said this before, but I think that's where that stems from.
Yeah, because you don't like arguments because obviously as a child, like, it probably brings back...
Yeah, and it's only looking back at certain things as well, like where you think, as a child, probably some things that I went through as a kid was not only physical but mental abuse, which gets forgotten about when you think about physical abuse and stuff like that. That you forget about that sort of stuff, but that's probably the stuff that affects you more. And it wasn't just me; it was my brother, older brother as well, and maybe my younger brothers, but probably not so much. Yeah,
because you grew up in a house, you had 3 other brothers. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, I've got more siblings than that, but in the household when I was growing up, I had my older brother, which has got the same dad, and then the man that my mum married, who adopted us. My mum then had 2 kids with him, so they didn't have the same treatment that me and my older brother would have had, I'd say.
Yeah, and your mum had you quite young as well, which obviously made things difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as I can say good or bad things, my mum was very young when she had my older brother, then she had me. She had my brother at 16 and then me at 17. So I can't say she had it easy, but at the same time I can't say that things were great, and there was a lot of choices that could have been made to make things better, but we won't get into that.
No, yeah. Because obviously when I met you, you didn't obviously share anything about your childhood or anything like that with me. All I knew was that you were... How old were you when we met? You were 20 and I was 19?
Yeah, 20 and you were 19.
So, and when I met you, I remember you didn't want me to come to your house. And I was like, why doesn't he want me to go to his house? I knew that you lived in a flat in Derby. And I did think it was like, I didn't know about your family. I've got your grandma and granddad who we get on really well with, they're lovely. But I was a bit like, why doesn't he want me to go to his house? And then it turned out you actually moved out when you were 16.
Yeah.
And...
Well, there was 2 bouts.
Yeah.
There was 2 spells of moving out.
Yeah. So you moved out when you were 16, and then that was the flat you had when you met me, and you were a bit embarrassed about it.
No, so a little bit. I actually moved out when I lived in Boston at 16, when I was doing my apprenticeship. And then I moved to Derby on my own when I was 18.
Oh, okay.
18 when I finished my apprenticeship.
So when I met you, that was the flat you'd had since you were 18. And I remember you being like quite embarrassed about it and thinking that I would judge it, but I didn't. But
I always was embarrassed about the area and the state of what it was like.
But that was like, for me, like, I always felt like I never judged you on that, but I think you were worried about it. But I just saw you as because I've never met someone. When you did tell me about everything that's happened in your childhood and how you got, because I was obviously, how did you get to here living in this flat in Derby on your own? Like, it just shocked me because you're I don't know if that was me in my head. You don't imagine someone like you to have been through that because you're so... Like, your life could have gone down a completely different path.
Yeah.
And you're one of the most hard-working people I've ever met. And, like, so caring and so lovely and, like, through what you've seen to where you are now. Makes me a bit emotional, but, like, you've done so well. But let's go back to, so your childhood, obviously you said, like, the physical abuse, mental abuse. Like, we won't go into specifics of that because we don't want you to have to talk about that. But how did you, obviously with drugs around, and I know some stories you've told me that are, you know, when you were really young and it's just like awful things you've seen, and I don't know how you got through that, but what was sort of like the hardest thing for you in your childhood, and how, you don't have to go into details of it, but how did you stay on the path that you got to now? Like, how did you not go down that drug route? Because it would have been easy for you to, you said you had mates that were doing drugs and went down the path where some of them are now in prison. Obviously you're not mates with them anymore, but how did you make sure you didn't go down that route? What made you want to escape that?
I wouldn't actually say. I think it all boils down to what sort of person you are. Because I was very good friends with a lot of people that were big parts of my childhood. And a lot of my friends did end up in prison or drugs, alcohol. And I went through a little bit of a phase with alcohol myself. I wasn't an alcoholic or anything like that.
You're laughing because someone said he was an alcoholic when he was drinking. He had one night out in Ibiza and you got a comment on YouTube saying he was an alcoholic.
Don't put two and two together. I wasn't an alcoholic.
No.
I'll just put that out there. But I used it as a source at one stage when I was very low, prior to meeting you actually, which was... But to answer that, I don't know why... I don't know, I just saw better for myself. And I think that just depends on the type of person you are. It depends what you want out of your life, doesn't it? And I think I saw the struggle that... And some of my mates that and one of my best mates at the time, Tom, his name was, he had it worse than me, which I didn't have it good by any means, but his was even worse. And you could always see someone in a worse situation. And he had his head screwed on as well. But it was people like that I used to associate myself with. And it would just depend on what sort of person you are, because you can either try and make better or just get on with it and live the same lifestyle that everyone else is living. But I didn't want that because I saw it didn't feel nice as a kid. So I wouldn't, if I could change that, I wanted to.
Yeah. What would you say so obviously you had that mindset within you that you wanted to escape that. What would you say was your hardest moment and how did you get through that?
Hardest moment? I mean, when I was dealing with all the stuff that we just spoke about, I think the hardest moment for me was being left when actually leaving home at 16. Not a lot of people know this, but I slept rough for a little while. And then...
That always makes me so sad to think about.
I always remember, like, because I was an apprentice at the time. And
Apprentice bricklayer, weren't you?
I was. Used to do general building though. But I always remember that, and it was in winter, and it was horrible. And I'd had my phone taken off me. Because it was a contract in my mum's name.
Right.
That was taken away from me, so I had no means of contacting anyone. So the first thing I did was like, right, what do I do? So I went to the shop and bought a SIM card and put some top up on it. Back in the days of the top up SIM cards. I think that's the thing actually. And the first thing I did was like text a few people, but it wasn't. And my best mate Lewis, who's my best man at our wedding, him and his mum actually took me in. But there were still times in between there and times after that where I had to sleep a little bit rough.
Where did you sleep?
I slept in like a shop doorway.
Great training for Audax then.
I think that's probably why I'm so good at it. But I always remember that one particular winter, and all I had was like the only things I took from my house was my work stuff, and that was it. Literally, I remember that's all I took because I thought I need to go to work tomorrow.
So it's just you in a bus shelter.
And I had my big high-vis, I think it was an orange coat at the time, high-vis orange coat on because I knew it was really thick. But then I remember going to work the next day, being super early obviously because I had nothing else to do. So
you slept rough all night? Was this your first night homeless?
Yeah.
Slept rough in a shop doorway?
Yeah.
Just you, a top-up SIM card phone, your work stuff.
I also slept behind the garage one night.
Oh, God.
Which was really weird because it was like a tiny little alleyway behind the garage because I thought no one would see me there.
And then you went to work the next day.
Yeah, and I always remember this was the hardest, most horrible day at my work ever because I'd not slept properly. It was winter very
How old were you at this point?
Right, I think it was 16. Yeah, it would have been 16 when I first left.
Yeah.
And I had my that coat on, and it was winter, so bearing in mind the night time was like 0 degrees. I'm not joking, it was freezing. And the next day I had to go to work, and we were working outside on a chimney, and it was frozen. There was ice on the ladder and stuff, and I had to climb up the ladder. And I always remember sitting there pointing this chimney, just shivering. And the old boy Ian, he was looking at me. That's making me well up actually. Asking me if I was okay.
Yeah. You can stop if you want.
Not really thought about that for a long time. And he was just asking because they didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really hard. So yeah, I'd say that was my hardest moment.
But you got through it.
Yeah.
And you're so strong for getting through that. Like, for the fact you still went to work, that just shows your mentality. Like, you didn't have a home.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I was worried about. I was like, what am I going to do? I need to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And no, I did. I went to work, and then Jason, who was the company's labourer at the time, he always used to look after me, to be fair, and he used to pick me up from wherever I needed picking up from prior to getting a moped, which I had for a little while. He used to pick me up, and he used to, he knew sort of, he knew what was going on because he was asking, like, I remember one night we was at the yard putting the truck away, and he was like, where are you going? I went, I don't know. And I was just on the phone. But he, to be fair to me, always show up and pick me up and stuff, and he did that for quite a lot. So, yeah.
And what did you do about food? How did you... Because I know, obviously
I was you're
a snacking cyclist. You like a bit of food.
That's probably why I like snacking now.
Yeah, so
I like finer things.
When you were sleeping like rough, what did you have to eat? How did you...
Just basic. I was still earning money, so I wasn't earning a lot of money because I was an apprentice, but I was earning a little bit. £78 a week at one stage for 40 hours. But it was just like whatever I could get. And sometimes it would just be like a McDonald's because you knew it was warm, nice.
Yeah.
Or like a Greg's. Sometimes you just go to the shop and get like a sausage roll and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't go hungry. I did go hungry, but I wasn't like wasting away as such.
Good minute from sleeping rough to riding a Pinarello.
Some step up in it. That.
Yeah. So the reason everyone listening now, like obviously Carl's a bit upset, but like thanks so much for, because we had a conversation before this, didn't we? And I said you don't have to do this.
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to get so like that.
But like I wanted to share it because I think people don't know what, like, everyone that knows us don't think would know that you've been through that.
But I wouldn't tell anyone.
No. But I think it's an inspiring story, and it makes you realise, make me realise, to be so grateful for what we have, because it can easily
but I also
be
think
taken away.
I agree with what you're saying, but sometimes I get complacent and forget about what I'm grateful for, and it's very easy to get to a stage where you're quite comfortable, and then you do sometimes, without looking back, you sort of can lose that sense of gratefulness, for the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Because you get used to being in a comfortable position, and that's fine. Not everyone does it. That's just normal. Yeah. But it's only looking back that sometimes, back then I was grateful for the smallest things. So, and I still am. Don't get me wrong. I'm still a grateful person.
Yeah.
Very grateful, and sometimes I don't feel like I deserve certain things, or.
Yeah. But you definitely do.
Look, I don't ask for anything. I don't ever ask anyone for anything.
That's the thing with you. You don't really ask for help, do you? But I think that probably stems from you've always had to kind of look out for yourself. I've just been very independent. Yeah.
Never really had a true father figure in my life. That's a fact. And the father figure that we did have wasn't. Yeah. Now I've got a few choice words for him, but
we won't get into that.
We definitely won't get into that. But so yeah. So I never had that father. So you grow up very quickly when you're young. And my brother got bullied and stuff, and he was my older brother, but I always took on the role of looking after him because he wasn't. We just were very different at school. I was always seemed to be in I wouldn't say the popular crowd, but I was always...
You were a cool kid.
I was a bit of a naughty kid, but I got on with everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get on with everyone, but I was always had loads of people to mess about with, and my brother didn't have it quite so good.
And so, talking of school then, even though you were quite a naughty kid, you were very clever. Like, you did, despite everything that was going on, you managed to get a scholarship to a grammar school, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you did get excluded though, we will say that.
Not from grammar school.
Not from grammar. Was that the school before?
I was actually on... They used to have a card system in the grammar school, and I went on the white, the pink, and then the red card, and I left just before they were getting to a point of kicking me out, so...
Oh dear.
Luckily.
But it's not surprising considering like the turbulence going on at home that...
Well, social services were involved a lot as a kid, as you can imagine, but they were involved and they used to come and see me at school and stuff.
But you managed to get good grades, so you did really well.
Yeah.
And what made you go into Brick Lane? Was that because it was kind of like you felt like it was the only option?
Well, no, I sort of always... I got... so one of my choices at school was engineering. Which is really bizarre actually, because when I was in grammar school, the idea for me, this was my big plan, to get rich. And I was like, right, I'm going to go to Skegness Grammar, and then I planned it all that, and I'm going to go to Hull University, because that's where I can do, I think it was Hull University, I'm pretty positive it was.
Yeah.
That's where I can study to be a solicitor. And I wanted to be a solicitor.
Did ya?
But that's only because I knew they made a lot of money. And I always remember I got that idea because we got our surnames changed when I was younger by deed poll.
Yeah.
Another story that is. And we had to pay a lot of money for it.
Right.
So then I was like, my mum was like, oh, it costs a fortune. And I was like, do they make a lot of money? And she was like, yeah. Like, right, I'm going to be a solicitor. And yeah, that changed. But I was just, going back to what you're saying, when I picked engineering when I was in year 9. And I knew that I liked the method and I liked all the other side of it, but I liked being hands-on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see myself sitting at a desk, especially because I had naughty tendencies to mess about and stuff like that I probably wouldn't sit still for that long. So yeah, I had the idea. And then when we was at school, me and my best man Lewis, an advert come up in our school for Ray Sellers Quality Builders back in the day, and two apprenticeships, which was unheard of.
Yeah.
And me and Lewis both applied for it. I was like, I kept speaking to him saying, "You gonna apply?" And he was like, "Yeah, have you done it yet?"
Yeah.
And then we kept ringing each other at night saying, "Have you applied?" And then yeah, we both got it, which was so cool because obviously two really good mates.
That's really nice.
Working together, which made it probably a better apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's really nice, and I think it's nice you have that mate. And you still
We've always got a lot of stories about Yeah,
that's really nice. So obviously then you ended up homeless for a bit, but then you managed to work your way out of that, didn't you? And you ended up coming to Derby.
Yeah.
Where you met me, aka the love of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously we've come from such different backgrounds. Like I've had, really nice, lovely upbringing. Like I can't imagine.
Yeah, but you know yourself that doesn't make things easy.
No. Yeah, but like I always remind myself like how hard you've had it. And like when I met you, like because obviously when you were a child you didn't have like amazing Christmases and things like that. I always try and get you like the best Christmas presents and stuff because I want you to like have the childhood Christmas you didn't have. But I
would say that we had some good Christmas, but there was a lot of bad Christmas as well.
Yeah, and you did have some good. Like,
I think one year,
some happy memories too.
I think one year I actually bought my brother a Christmas present from. It was when Woolworths was shutting down, and they had a massive sale on it. I literally had like 15 quid.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm going to get something. And I bought my mate David a present, and I bought my brother Reese something. I can't even remember what it was. It would have been something really cheap. And I just thought, I need to get something, but that was all we had. That was Christmas done.
That's nice, so that you spent your money on other people.
Yeah.
One thing I remember you saying, which I found quite sad, but it is quite funny now. Can you share the story about when you rather liked your friend's present? No, sorry, when you liked your friend's toy.
Right, that was primary school. This one.
How old were you?
You're talking about the Beyblade situation.
The Beyblade, yeah.
They were the days. I was probably, I'd say, 9.
Yeah.
I'm going to say like year 5, year 4. I'm guessing it's around 9. And it's when Beyblades, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, all these cool things were coming out, and I was like, oh, this is so good. But we didn't have money to buy Beyblades.
What is a Beyblade?
Do you not remember it?
No, I remember.
They were like
this stupid thing to spin across the floor.
Yeah, they were like boys had them really. They weren't really a girls thing, were they?
Don't gender stereotype there, Kyle.
Well, it's not. Back in the day, they were typically.
Yeah.
All the boys at school had them.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a spinning top, but you could take them apart and you could put like cool coloured pits on them, like metal ones.
Sounds like you still want one now, Kyle.
I know, they do excite me a little bit. But yeah, so I used to just get given like all the crap bits that no one wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can make one up that's really cool. Like, I did love it.
Yeah.
But then this Peter, his name was, I always remember the kid, he was a snitch. And he had this Beyblade and it looked so good. It was like blue and gold, and I was like, oh my, that is like top quality. He's got some money his parents have.
Yeah.
So I nicked it off him. Because I thought,
how did you get it?
I can't even remember how I actually ended up acquiring the Beyblade. But I tried to keep it quiet and I managed to get it home and I was playing with it and stuff.
Yeah.
But then the next day they found out that I'd stole it and I had to return it.
What did he say?
What, Peter? Well, he didn't really say a lot to me because he was quite a quiet kid and I was a bit more rowdy. But
what did you say when you gave it back to him?
I had to apologise, obviously.
Yeah.
As not any person should do.
Did you tell him that you took it, or did you just pretend it was an accident?
I pretended it was an accident.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I was like, oh, it's a bit similar to mine, that's why I took it. But I didn't, I just really wanted it.
Bless you. Right, moving on then. Thanks so much, by the way, Carl, for sharing everything you have, because I know it's hard, but I think it's an inspiring story and it shows that you can...
There's a lot more, I think...
We'll have to do an episode 2, I think.
Well, yeah, with this sort of thing, there's a lot more depth.
There's a lot more to go. We'll do an episode 2 maybe in a few months' time.
You can't tell my life story in...
Yeah, it's too short to do it now, but we'll in a few months' time we'll do an episode 2. We'll dive deeper, but not in that way. Right, anyway, so obviously now, where we are now, we have a house, we have a mortgage, and we have a dog, and we have our bikes, and is that what you always pictured you wanted?
Yeah. Well, minus the bikes. Never pictured that. But I did... I mean, I drove up the street this week, and every time I drive down our road, and I mean, I'm not saying we live in Mayfair.
No, we just live in a normal...
But a normal... And I remember...
We've got a bungalow next door with a nice...
And it always goes back to the same thing as when I first met you. Your family looked rich to me because I wasn't used to that. I thought you had this massive house, because it was quite a big house, it wasn't small.
3-bedroom.
Yeah.
We had enough room.
It wasn't like a mansion, but to me it was a big house.
Yeah, well, I've grown up in a fortunate position. We could go to after school clubs. I could go swimming.
And that's brilliant. That's great. If you've got a family like that. But I was just going back to what I was saying. I'm driving down the road and I look at our road all the time. And I think, do you know what? I love living here. It's the only place in my life that I've actually been settled. I actually want to leave Derby just because of how settled I am.
Yeah, because you moved around quite a lot.
I moved around a hell of a lot, yeah. But yeah.
That's nice. I'm glad you settled here with me. You're stuck with me now because you married me, so... Don't know if that's a good thing.
A few more years left on the mortgage yet.
Right, now, what is your happiest place now?
My happiest place?
Because now, would you say you were not happy in that? Were you in a happy place now?
No, I'm miserable. No, I'm joking. My happy place...
Chester's in his happy place. Chester, come and sit down. Is someone at the door?
No, I think
it's interrupting our podcast. Oh no, someone's pulled up. Chester's on guard mode. Chester, come on.
Come on, lie down.
Come and sit down. I know you want to be the star of the podcast, but unfortunately you're not, mate.
He don't bark when we want him to.
No, he doesn't bark on cue. He just
down.
barks when there's someone outside is protecting us.
So, what did you say?
What's your happiest place?
Happiest place. I think cycling has got to be...
I knew you were going to say
It's not just cycling though, is it? Some rides aren't the happy place. I mean, when I'm doing a big effort and I've got sweat coming down my eyes and stuff, you're not in a happy place there. You're in a pain place. But there's been a handful of times where I've been... there is some rides that stick out. And the days where you just ride in, no pressure. There was one of them which was a 200k, all day out. It was nice weather, just really chill, just enjoyable, no pressure. And that was my happy place. And also I did a ride on my... Not all my happy places are riding with you. One of them was just on my own with my headphones in and riding and just not thinking about anything. And that can be a happy place as well.
Yeah. And did you have a bike when you were younger?
I did.
What did you have?
I remember my first bike, which my grandma and granny bought, because they used to buy us Christmas presents because they were legends.
Yeah.
And they bought me an orange BMX. Was it? Yeah, it was a BMX. I was just trying to think. It was small BMX obviously, because I didn't learn to cycle till much older than my brothers because I was awful at it.
How old were you when you learned to cycle?
Like at 11.
Really?
Yeah, but I kept falling off and then I just didn't want to do it. So why do you keep forcing me to learn? I don't need to ride a bike.
You were stubborn then like you are now
But then I did learn to ride. I used to fall into the edges and all sorts of hilarious looking back. But then when I did learn to ride a bike, you couldn't get me off it.
Really?
And then I used to race all the lads on the street, and we used to do races on the street and race up to the end of the street and come back round.
Oh.
Because it was a dead end at the end, like a roundabout at the top, and you used to just go up there and come back.
Yeah.
I remember once my brother actually rode straight into a parked car,
Oh my.
when he was trying to race us all, which was quite. I thought it was hysterical at the time.
Yeah. So how, obviously, like from going to on your little BMX to now, and somehow, obviously, we started our YouTube channel, and then Pinarello got in contact with us and said, "Do we want to be sponsored?" I mean, no one's going to say no to that. Who's saying no to that email? You might as well just send the email saying you are sponsored, because we're not saying no to that.
This is what's happening.
Yeah, this is what's happening. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
How does it feel now to ride a Pinarello?
Well, as you know, when I first started cycling two and a half years ago now, is it?
Yeah.
When I first started cycling, when I get into something, I'm a right nerd. So then I start looking into loads of stuff and like, what's the best stuff like? And I saw these Pinarellos when I was looking to buy you a bike.
I remember we were walking to Tesco, weren't we, once, and you started talking about Pinarello.
Yes. And
literally like 2 years ago.
This was like literally just started cycling.
Yeah, I hadn't even started the Instagram.
And I was just looking at them thinking, oh, they look so cool. And obviously I was learning about Team Sky and Team Ineos and all that sort of stuff. And looking at the bikes, and I was just like, I want one. Like, that's my dream bike.
And
I'll never have one.
I remember saying, Carl, we will never get one of them. Like, it's worth more than my car.
But I think when you started getting a bit bigger on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, I did say to you, I went, oh, imagine if you got sponsored by Pinarello.
Yeah, you did. That was on the way to Tesco.
And it
I
was
was
just
like,
really bizarre looking.
oh, don't be so stupid.
Basically, I've manifested it.
Yeah, you did. And then 2 years later, we've got a Pinny and a Poco. That's what we call them.
When Pinarello came in, I was like, there's no other bike brand. Like, This is a big, hard yes.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you get to ride one too. It's great.
Yeah, they look after me a lot as well, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah. We've got some big plans on the bike in the next few years, so
yeah,
we better get a lot of riding in. Anyway, that's all top secret at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Carl, I've got just 2 random questions for you now.
Here we go.
So I always like the random ones. Right, you're not going to like this one.
Oh dear.
Obviously, like, I know you love your music. Like, music can change your mood. You like listening to your songs when you're on your rides. You like singing in the shower.
Yeah, we don't get into that.
I do try and record you when you're doing that, but yeah.
You have done a few times.
I'll try and record it and play it on the podcast. What is your favourite feel-good song, and can you sing a bit of it for us, please?
Feel-good song?
Yeah, like when you want to be in a good mood.
What, like recent?
Well, any. Just what would you put on to like feel good? What song brings you out your shell?
You know yourself. I'm a man of a multitude of genres of music.
You love all music.
Like apart from heavy metal, but I did like a lot of like Paramore and all that sort of stuff. Still do. It's on my playlist.
Mm-hmm.
My feel-good song, Dizzy Rascal and Holiday, that's a good song.
A bit of rendition, please.
In my bikini, come see me. I can't really sing it. Happy. What other song? Pink.
Pink?
Yeah.
What one? It's the curveball.
Who Knew?
You sing it, I don't even know it.
Oh,
go on.
Can I play it on my phone?
No, you have to sing it.
No, I can't sing it. I can't even think. Like my brain.
You don't know what the song is?
No, my brain's in like shut down, but I know it's on my playlist.
What do you mean your brain's in shut down?
No, I can't really think at the minute, or like.
You just know what it's
very
called.
tone deaf at the minute.
No, come on.
I need to play it on my phone.
I don't think you're allowed to for copyright reasons.
Well, I can't sing it. I don't know
what does it.
Can't even remember how it goes. But I know every time it comes on my playlist, I'm like, oh yeah,
I don't know what song it is. What's it called?
Who Knew?
Who Knew?
Is it Who Knew? Yeah.
Come on, now it's going to be annoying me. You have to hum it.
Oh, no, I need to listen to it to get the tune.
You can listen to it and then I'll cut it out and then you can sing it.
So it goes a bit something like, if someone said 3 years from now, you'll be long gone.
You know, that was quite good actually, Carl. I know what you are now. I know what you mean now.
Yeah. That wasn't my best singing voice, by the way.
I know, I've heard better in the shower. It's better, it is, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
What is your... Right, sorry, next question now. I'm getting hungry now, so I'm speeding up.
Yeah,
I'm ready for my dinner.
I can tell.
7 p.m. Right, another question. You know, this is one of my favourite questions.
Go on.
That I always ask every cyclist.
Oh, flipping it. I know it's going to be.
What is it?
Snack.
Yeah.
What
is your go-to cycling
literally,
snack?
I can even tell you the question.
I love that question.
What's
I'd
my
like to
go-to
know.
cycling snack? It's got to be a banana, isn't it?
If you could only have one cycling snack for the rest of your life.
On rides.
On rides while you're on the bike moving.
Probably would be a banana.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're a cracking bit of fuel.
They are.
And they're easy to eat on the bike.
They are really easy because they're mushy.
I mean? And it's easy to swallow, consume.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good energy. And if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, it has to be sausage and mash.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you'd say Sunday dinner.
That is a good shout. See, I like all that sort of stuff, so
What
probably
we have,
both.
So you have sausage mash, but then what will
Can
go
I have
with
it all together?
No. You only have one meal.
No, that is a meal.
Sausage mash, what would go with it?
Peas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I love peas. Gravy?
I like putting the peas in the mash though with the gravy.
What, in the mash?
The peas into the mash.
What, you mash the peas?
No, not mash them up. As whole. When I'm eating, I'll mix the peas with the mash.
Oh no.
With the gravy. Oh, it's delightful.
Oh no, thanks. Well, I think on that note, we might bring the podcast to an end. I don't think we'll do the moan minute today because I think we've had enough.
I've had a bit of moan.
I think it's been, we've had enough negativity on today's podcast.
And the dog's staring at me for his dinner.
Chester's staring at us for his dinner. This weekend we're heading to London for the Rulo live show, so very excited for that. Maybe see some of you there.
I've been excited for this all year.
I've been excited. We're actually on Sunday. We're going to be riding up Box Hill with Jesse Yates.
I'm not sure I'm excited for that.
And we've decided that. Well, I've decided that Kyle is going to be trying to go up Box Hill as fast as he can, and Jesse Yates said he'll do your lead out for him.
Yeah.
So we'll do a debrief on that on the next podcast.
Can I just say, a lot of the challenges I do decide to do myself, but Amy does like to have a lot, just make these challenges up and tell me that I'm doing them.
You love it really though.
I am a sucker for suffering.
He likes it. And always, if Kyle ever says, "Oh, I don't want to do that," I say to him, "Kyle, remember why you're riding that bike?"
Yeah, but I don't need to suffer up Box Hill to ride that bike.
Well, no, not necessarily, but it makes for good entertainment for me.
The bike is good for suffering, aren't they?
It is, that is true. Right then, well, it's dinner time now, and we're having, guess what, Kyle?
No, I don't know.
Fish stew!
I ain't having fish stew.
No, I'll have fish stew. Oh, everyone's going to think I only ever eat fish stew. You can have fish with mash and beans, is that okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's okay.
No, I'm happy with that. You know what I'm like about the stew situation with fish.
You don't like a mixture.
Fish and stew is not a good mix. Fish pie, yes.
It's not gravy, it's like tomato stew, like that sort of stew.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Oh, okay.
I like fish pies and stuff, but I don't like fish stew.
I could make it into fish pie if
you know I like fish.
We could have a fish pie with mash.
No, I'll just have the mash and the fish.
You want mashed fish and beans?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Alright then, that's fine. Right, anyway, we're going to sign out now. We're going to say thank you so much for listening. And yeah, we'll do another episode about Kyle in a few months' time because we've got more to say about that. But I just wanted to share your story.
Only if you want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but people don't have to listen if they don't want to.
Well, that's true.
Probably just, as I said before, two randomers and a cat listening, but it's been quite nice to chat, really.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's been therapeutic for you, Kyle.
Yeah, it makes you look back on things I forgot about.
Well, hopefully you don't feel
Not sure
too
whether
sad.
that's good or bad.
No, you don't feel too sad, do you?
No, I'm alright.
It's alright because tomorrow we're going to London and we're doing a ride in the Chilterns on the way.
Yes.
So,
look forward to that.
And we've got a new cafe to try, so we'll debrief on all of that next week. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. TT's the FN. Ta-ta for now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.